Chosen one. You missed it the fourth time, and I am not saying that to shame you. I am saying it because God is placing this in front of you right now with urgency. If you don't listen, if you treat this as another passing message, this moment can slip away. In a way you cannot rewind some opportunities. Don't come back on our schedule. Some doors are not permanent fixtures, they are holy windows. And if you keep postponing what heaven is trying to activate, you may only realize what you lost after it has already moved on. What you are hearing is not coincidence. It is a divine wake-up call, sharp enough to rattle the parts of you that have grown numb, and gentle enough to remind you that you are still invited. Life does not always hand out second chances the way we wish it would. Sometimes it offers a lesson 3 times, and the 4th time becomes a threshold. It becomes the moment where the call is no longer subtle. It becomes the moment where you either step forward or you repeat the cycle again. When you look back, you can probably name the signs you ignored, the nudges you felt and dismissed, the chances that almost found you, until you convinced yourself you were not ready, not worthy, not prepared, not there yet. And I have watched this happen to countless people. God opens a door, and we walk past it because we assume we can return later. We tell ourselves, I will handle it when the timing is better. And then later comes and we realize the door has already closed, not because God was cruel, but because the season moved. That is why this message isn't casual advice. It is not a motivational speech to make you feel good for a moment. It is a lifeline. It is an alignment point. It is a chance to respond before the opportunity becomes a memory. Because something is changing for you, and it begins the instant you stop hearing and start listening. Here is what is happening when you pay attention, when you truly engage with this. Your reality begins to shift. Not as a fantasy, not as wishful thinking, but as a spiritual rearranging that happens when a soul finally agrees with what God has been saying all along. Doors you assumed were sealed begin to loosen. Paths you thought were blocked begin to open. Connections you prayed for begin to form. And what you have been asking God for will not only appear someday in the distance, it will start moving toward you with speed and precision you didn't expect. This is bigger than manifestation. This is spiritual timing. This is heaven's order, intersecting your obedience, and spiritual timing responds to readiness, not to noise, not to ego, not to fantasy, readiness. If you feel an inner pull right now, that sense that you cannot scroll past this, that quiet pressure that says stay, don't leave, don't dismiss it again, understand what that is. It is God confirming that this is your moment. It is your spirit recognizing a turning point before your mind talks you out of it. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delights in his way. Psalm 37 verse 23. Before you move on, do 3 simple things, because we are building a gathering of people who are ready to respond, not just consume. Hit the like button, subscribe, so we can reach 50,000 chosen ones, and comment the number 99. Let it be your marker, your public, yes, your signal, that you are not letting the moment pass again. Share this with anyone you know who keeps missing their signs, and stay until the very end, because if you are truly a chosen one, your life will not remain the same after what you are about to understand. Everything in this message is designed to awaken you, to educate you, and to push you into decisive action. The time is now, and God is not waiting. The way procrastination wants you to believe he will. Listen carefully. The 4th time is never just a coincidence. In life, patterns repeat because they are trying to teach you. They are trying to warn you. They are trying to guide you like a river, carving a channel through land. Repetition shapes destiny over time. Patient, persistent, unstoppable, until change becomes inevitable. You may overlook the first 2 or 3 passes. Most people do. The first time feels like an accident. The second feels like a strange echo. The third feels like pressure. But the fourth time, this is where hesitation meets consequence. This is where a decision is demanded. It is not superstition. It is structure. It is not fear. It is responsibility. It is the moment where life and heaven together insist. You cannot keep postponing what you were called to carry. Each repetition contains a lesson, often wrapped in subtlety. People usually recognize these lessons only in retrospect, when the opportunity has already passed and regret becomes a teacher. But when the fourth time arrives, the universe, through circumstances, through relationships, through inner conviction, begins to force alignment, not to harm you, but to awaken you. It is as though a celestial clock is ticking, and the sound is not meant to panic you, but to remind you, readiness is no longer optional. Let me tell you about Sarah, a 29-year-old writer. She kept getting the same message. Write the book. 3 times she started, and stopped. Fear of judgment, fear of failure, fear of success. Then the 4th time came. She was at a coffee shop. A stranger sat down and said, "I had a dream last night that I was supposed to tell someone today, to write their story. Are you a writer?" Sarah's hands trembled. This was it, the 4th time. And this time she said yes. She wrote the book. It became a bestseller that helped thousands heal from trauma. But here is what she told me. If that stranger hadn't shown up, I would still be waiting. The 4th time didn't just nudge me, it demanded. I choose. This is the lesson. Awareness without action is incomplete. Insight without obedience is unfinished. You can notice signs and still miss destiny if you keep hesitating at thresholds. And yes, hesitation at the threshold can cost more than opportunity. It can delay an entire chapter of your life. To understand the 4th time is to see life not as random events but as a sequence of thresholds, moments where the invisible becomes visible, where preparation meets opportunity, where God says, "This is the turn." And thresholds require 3 things: reflection, discernment, and courage. The patterns that brought you here are your teachers. Each warning is like a gentle tap at first. Each recurrence is a mirror showing what needs correction. And when you finally recognize the 4th moment for what it is, it becomes a pivot. It becomes the turning point where you shift from reactive living to intentional living, from drifting to choosing, from surviving to stewarding the life you were meant to create. Timing is rarely accidental. The reason this moment is presenting itself now is because your life has reached a convergence, experience, insight, and circumstance colliding into readiness. Waiting longer would risk the energy dissipating. It would dilute the lesson. It would weaken the clarity. In the natural order, timing matters as much as action. A seed planted in the wrong season doesn't thrive, no matter how much you want it to. The same is true for your calling. Every divine message arrives when it is needed, not when it is convenient. To ignore it is to invite delay, to postpone growth, and to risk repeating cycles unnecessarily. And if you are honest, you have repeated some cycles long enough. The appearance of this message now is also a sign of internal alignment. Something in you has been shifting quietly. Perhaps your mindset has matured. Perhaps certain relationships have been exposed. Perhaps you have grown weary. of distractions that used to satisfy you. Maybe you have been pruning things you cannot even explain. That is not random. That is preparation. Life has a way of orchestrating conditions, so the individual is ready, not rushed, not pressured into panic, but positioned. And when you look back on your past turning points, you realize that every now carried a different weight. Some now moments were too early. Some were too late. But the now that truly changes you is the one shaped by unseen design. Understanding that truth turns anxiety into confidence. It turns hesitation into motion. And there is another layer. The immediacy of this message is a test of your commitment to awareness. It is a call to engage fully, to sharpen perception, and to step into responsibility with courage. Warnings aren't delivered lightly. If heaven is pressing this into you now, it is because you are capable of meeting the challenge. Delay may feel comforting, but comfort is often the disguise of stagnation. How long will you hesitate between two opinions? 1 Kings 18, verse 21. That question is not condemnation. It is confrontation. It asks you to choose. Recognizing the significance of now is the first act of intentional living, admitting that this moment is both invitation and responsibility. And that leads us to what it truly means to be chosen. Being chosen is not exemption from struggle. It is not a guarantee that life will be easier. In fact, it often means the opposite. Being chosen amplifies responsibility. It calls you to integrity, discipline, and wisdom. Many people misunderstand this. They think being chosen means being favored in a way that removes accountability. But the higher the calling, the heavier the weight. Every opportunity carries obligation. Every insight demands action. Every privilege tests how you will wield it. Responsibility over privilege means embracing refinement instead of avoiding it. The path of purpose is rarely smooth. The trials along the way are not punishments. They are tools. They refine character. They test commitment. They reveal what is truly important and what is merely comfortable. Let me share another story. David, 42 years old. A father of 3, he felt called to leave corporate and start a non-profit. 3 times fear stopped him. The 4th time, his youngest daughter asked, "Daddy, why do you always look sad when you come home?" That question shattered him. He realized he was teaching his children to settle. That night, he made the decision. Today, his nonprofit has impacted over 10,000 families. But more than that, his children watched him choose courage. This is what being chosen looks like. It is not a badge of honor. It is a summons to rise higher than you thought possible. And here is something most people don't talk about. The 4th time is often disguised as an inconvenience. It doesn't always come with trumpets and fanfare. Sometimes it comes as a quiet conversation, a random email, a stranger's comment. You might not recognize it as the 4th time until you look back, but your spirit knows. There is a resonance, a knowing, this matters more than you think, and that inner knowing, that is not anxiety, that is divine confirmation. The steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord, and he delights in his way. Psalm 37, verse 23. Every moment you have lived, every lesson you have learned, every hardship you have overcome has been preparing you for this. Not preparing you for someday, preparing you for now. And if you feel resistance rising, that is normal. Change, even good change, triggers the part of us that craves safety. But safety is not the same as purpose. Comfort is not the same as calling. You were not designed to live small. You were not created to play it safe until you die. You were called to build, to heal, to lead, to create, to transform. And the fourth time is the moment where you stop rehearsing and start performing. Now, let me give you something practical. 3 questions to ask yourself right now. Question 1. What have I been avoiding that keeps coming back to me? Not a vague feeling, a specific thing. Name it clearly. Question 2. What is the real reason I have been saying no, not the excuse you tell others? The real reason: fear of failure, fear of success, fear of judgment. Be honest. Because you cannot overcome what you will not acknowledge. Question 3. What would change in my life if I said yes this time, not just externally, internally? How would you feel about yourself? These 3 questions will cut through the noise. They will bring you face to face with the truth. Now here is where focus becomes essential, because the modern world is designed to fragment your attention. Endless notifications, constant demands, infinite distractions, and in that noise, divine signals get buried. You need cognitive discipline, the ability to recognize what matters and give it your sustained attention. Every breakthrough in history began with someone paying attention to what others ignored. When you focus, patterns become clear. When you focus, opportunities become visible. When you focus, your actions become precise. Think about a magnifying glass. Unfocused light does nothing. But when you focus that same light through a lens onto a single point, it can start a fire. Your attention works the same way before anything manifests externally. Internal readiness is required. Seeds of destiny only grow when conditions align. Preparation is the soil. Discipline is the water. Wisdom is the light. Acting prematurely creates collapse. Waiting without preparation creates stagnation. True readiness balances patience and action. Preparation is not passive. It is cultivation. It is practice, learning from failure, refining strategy, strengthening resilience, like an athlete training for a championship, like a musician preparing for the performance of a lifetime. Readiness demands groundwork. Every hour spent learning, reflecting, sharpening your skills compounds into advantage when the decisive moment arrives. Readiness also requires humility. It demands self-awareness, knowing what you need, what must be healed, what must be corrected, what must be released. This builds confidence, not from arrogance, but from mastery. Destiny does not favor those who rush blindly. It favors those who honor the moment with commitment and presence. Education is not merely collecting information. It is aligning the mind with truth. True learning equips you to see patterns, discern subtle signals, act with wisdom. Life is a classroom, but the lessons are often hidden inside mistakes, setbacks, relationships, and delays. Those who study their lives deliberately learn to recognize signals others miss. Aligned education also requires confronting uncomfortable truths. It demands courage to question assumptions, humility to admit what you don't know, resilience to apply truth when it is difficult. Knowledge without alignment creates confusion. Aligned knowledge creates discernment. Life is rarely orderly. Chaos is always nearby. And inside chaos are hidden signals, patterns, messages, opportunities. Clarity in chaos is cultivated through awareness and disciplined observation. Signals show up as intuition, repeated themes, unusual coincidences, moments of resonance. Like constellations in a dark sky, they guide those who know how to look. This is not superstition. It is trained perception. It is learning to respond rather than react. Emotional regulation is crucial. Fear, doubt, impatience They distort interpretation. Composure allows you to see correctly, and when you develop clarity, adversity becomes a guide instead of an enemy. Now, the truth that ties it all together: belief alone is insufficient. Faith must move, conviction must become action, intention must become behavior. Otherwise, faith remains dormant, untested, unproven, unproductive. Whatever you do, do it with all your might. Ecclesiastes 9, verse 10. That is not mere productivity. It is wholeheartedness. It is alignment. Action is the proof of conviction. It bridges understanding and transformation. Without action, even deep insight remains abstract. Every great change in history began with belief, but it succeeded through consistent, purposeful action. Each step taken, small, faithful, disciplined, builds momentum toward destiny. Faith and action are inseparable. Belief fuels courage. Action tests endurance. Together, they create transformation. Hesitation erodes possibility. Decisive steps, guided by wisdom, shape reality. If you want to meet the fourth time moment fully prepared, faith must be active, belief must be embodied. Here is a tool, the 72-hour rule. When you receive a clear signal, you have 72 hours to take one concrete action, not to complete the journey, but to prove to yourself and to heaven that you are serious. If the call is to start a business, register the domain, write the first page of the plan, make one phone call. If the call is to heal a relationship, send the first text, write the letter, set the boundary. The 72-hour rule prevents overthinking from killing action. It creates momentum before resistance builds. Let me tell you about Jennifer. 51 years old. For 15 years, she felt called to write a book about her recovery from addiction. The first time, she thought she wasn't a good enough writer. The second time, she worried what people would think. The third time, she started, but gave up after 3 chapters. The fourth time, she was at a recovery meeting. A young woman, newly sober, was sobbing. She said, "I feel so alone, like no one understands." And Jennifer realized her story could be that woman's lifeline. Her hesitation had cost thousands of people the hope they needed. That night, Jennifer didn't just decide to write, she committed. She took a writing course. She joined a writer's group. She worked with a therapist to heal the shame blocking her. 2 years later, her book was published. Today, it has helped over 100,000 people find hope. But here is what Jennifer told me. The fourth time gave me urgency, but preparation gave me sustainability. If I had rushed it the first time, the book wouldn't have been ready. But if I had delayed past the fourth time, I might never have written it. This is the balance: urgency with preparation, speed with wisdom, action with foundation. And if this message has reached deep into your spirit, if you feel this is exactly what you needed to hear, there is a simple way to support this mission. YouTube has a feature called Super Thanks. Right below this video, it is not required. But if you feel this message is worth more than a cup of coffee, if you want to help us reach 50,000 chosen ones, it is a way to say, this matters, not as payment, as partnership. When you invest in what transforms you, you strengthen your commitment to change. But whether you do or don't, stay with me, because what is coming next is critical. And yes, ignoring the call has consequences. Moments of urgency rarely repeat forever. Neglect is not neutral. It erodes confidence, diminishes growth, strengthens avoidance patterns. Inaction turns potential into stagnation. Missed opportunities become regrets that echo for years. Avoiding responsibility weakens resilience and makes future opportunities Harder to seize the antidote is awareness paired with decisive action. Responding prevents loss. Engaging fully transforms potential into reality. Life rewards those who respond, not those who delay. Alignment is the harmony between what you desire, what you think, and what you do. Without alignment, energy leaks, progress stalls. Intention gives direction, thought shapes strategy, action executes. When these converge, life becomes coherent. Integrity deepens, decisions simplify. Momentum increases. Alignment is not static. It is a practice. Life will test coherence. You will face distractions, shifting circumstances, emotional storms, but reflection and disciplined adjustment keep you aligned, ensuring each step moves you toward meaningful outcomes. Here is a practice. The evening alignment check. Every night before you sleep, ask yourself 3 questions. 1. Did my actions today match my stated priorities? 2. Where did I leak energy? Into things that don't serve my calling? 3. What one thing can I do tomorrow to move closer to alignment? This practice takes 5 minutes, but over time, it builds self-awareness. It strengthens integrity. It closes the gap between who you say you are and who you actually are. Timing is both art and science. Life moves in seasons. Growth, pause. Refinement, release. Recognizing cycles allows precision. Misjudging timing wastes effort. Understanding cycles builds foresight. Opportunities flourish when readiness meets circumstance. Too early reduces impact, too late creates regret, but precise timing multiplies results. There is a concept in ancient wisdom called Kairos, the right time, the opportune moment. Not chronological time, but appointed time. The clock ticks forward every second, that is Chronos. But Kairos is when everything aligns. When the seed meets the soil, when the spark meets the kindling, when preparation meets opportunity. The 4th time is a Kairos moment. It is not about the calendar, it is about convergence. And when Kairos arrives, delay is expensive, hesitation is costly, overthinking is self-sabotage. Setbacks will come, but they are not evidence of failure, they are teachers. Resilience is the capacity to absorb setbacks, extract wisdom, rise stronger. Every obstacle carries a lesson. Every loss carries insight. Every challenge can become a stepping stone. Resilience requires reflection, learning patterns, refining strategy. It requires perspective. Knowing failure is part of growth. Emotional stability enables clear thinking and decisive action, even under pressure. And resilience turns experience into wisdom, preparing you for greater responsibility. Let me tell you about Thomas, 67 years old, retired from finance, comfortable, secure. But something kept nagging at him. He had skills, experience, wisdom, and he kept seeing young entrepreneurs making the same mistakes he had made decades ago. 3 times he thought about mentoring and dismissed it. The 4th time, he read a news story. A young entrepreneur had lost everything. Business collapsed, family strained, and Thomas recognized every mistake the young man had made. Thomas didn't hesitate this time. He contacted a business incubator, started mentoring. Today, at 71, he mentors 12 entrepreneurs. 3 of them have built million-dollar businesses. But more importantly, none of them had to lose everything. To learn what Thomas could teach them, Thomas told me, I almost wasted the wisdom of my entire career. I almost took it to the grave. The 4th time didn't just save those young people. It saved me from a life of regret. This is the power of responding. This is the cost of delay. Now listen to me, chosen one. This is the line. This is the pivot. This is the threshold. The fourth time is not meant to scare you. It is meant to wake you. It is the moment where heaven says, "Stop delaying the chapter I have been trying to open." It is the moment where your excuses finally run out, and your responsibility finally stands up. You can keep drifting, you can keep observing, you can keep saying later, and you can keep repeating, or you can cross the threshold, because the fourth time is never just a coincidence. It is a call to action, and you were born to answer it. Now, let me address something important. I know some of you are thinking, how do I know this is really my fourth time? How do I know this isn't just another message? Here is how you know. You feel it in your body. There is a tension, a weight, a sense that you cannot just scroll past this. You have heard similar messages before, but this one lands different. This one has urgency attached to it. This one makes you uncomfortable in a way that feels like truth. That discomfort is not a warning to run. It is a signal that something real is happening. Think about the last 3 times, the last 3 moments when you felt pulled towards something and you resisted. Maybe it was a career change. Maybe it was a relationship you needed to end. Maybe it was a dream you needed to chase. Maybe it was a conversation you needed to have, a boundary you needed to set, a risk you needed to take. What were the consequences of not moving? Not to create regret, but to create clarity, because the cost of missing the fourth time is not just one more delay. It is the compounding effect of a life lived in hesitation. It is the slow erosion of your confidence in your own intuition. It is the gradual acceptance of a smaller life than the one you were meant for. And I don't want that for you. God doesn't want that for you. Now I want you to do something right now, not later, not when you feel ready, right now. Think of the one thing you have been avoiding, the one decision you have been postponing, the one action you know you need to take and make a commitment, not to me, to yourself, to God, to your future, that within the next 72 hours, you will take one concrete step toward that thing. Not the whole journey, just one step, one phone call, one conversation, one application, one boundary, and then leave a marker. Comment the number 99 below. Let it be your public declaration, your line in the sand, your point of no return. Because when you declare your intention publicly, you activate accountability, you strengthen commitment, you invite support. If this message is landing in your spirit, don't keep it to yourself. Share it with someone who needs strength today, someone who has been missing their signs, someone who has been hesitating at their own threshold, because you may be their fourth time moment. Your share could be the thing that wakes them up. And if you want to leave a sign of agreement in the comments, type Amen, or type 99, or type I am ready. Not as superstition, but as a simple act of unity, a way of saying, God, I am here, I am listening, I am ready, the chosen ones are gathering, the alignment is happening, the doors are opening, and the question is not, will the opportunity come? The question is, will you be ready when it does? You have heard the message. You have felt the pull, you know, in the deepest part of you, that this is real. Now comes the moment of decision, the moment where knowledge becomes action, where conviction becomes courage, where potential becomes reality. The fourth time is here. The threshold is now, and God is waiting to see what you will do with what you know. Don't let this be another message you scroll past. Don't let this be another moment you look back on with regret. Let this be the turning point. Let this be the day everything changed because you are chosen. Not for comfort, not for ease, but for purpose, for impact, for transformation. And the world is waiting for you to step into who you were always meant to be. The fourth time is not a threat. It is a promise that if you respond, if you move, if you trust, everything you have been asking for will start moving toward you. So here is my final word to you. Stop waiting for perfect conditions. Stop waiting for more confidence. Stop waiting for permission. The permission has already been granted. The door is already open. The time is already here. All that is left is for you to walk through. And when you do, when you finally cross that threshold, you will realize something profound. The fourth time wasn't about God testing you. It was about God preparing you for the life you couldn't even imagine until you were ready to receive it. Now go, move, act, respond. Because the fourth time is not waiting, and neither is your destiny. This is your moment. Chosen one, don't miss it again.